Trinity make sense to you, Sherry, when you studied at the seminary?
No.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. So I'll just roll with that for today. When I was a freshman and sophomore in high school, my English teacher, Mr. McGrath, would make us listen to contemporary songs of the time. Songs like Jack and Diane by John Mellencamp and Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. And then a few Beatles songs were on the playlist. And it was a way to introduce us to poetry, to read it, to hear and to see what those words were. It was a way for us to look at the meaning behind the words. And eventually we sometimes would hear why the singer-songwriter wrote those words, and yet that was not the true purpose of the exercise. The purpose was to hear the music, read the words, and to reflect upon the ways words put to music can transport us into our own wells of emotion and relatability with other humans. Relatability with our fellow classmates as we read our own interpretations, and then with singers and songwriters who are attempting to make meaning as well through their poem, their music that we were just listening to. In 1991, the band U2 released the song Mysterious Ways. And I imagine it is talking about a young teenage boy coming to age in their life experience, at least when I initially read the words. Johnny, take a walk with your sister in the rain. Let her pale light in to fill your room. You've been living underground, eating from a can. You've been running away from what you don't understand. Yeah. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. She moves in mysterious ways. Johnny, take a dive with your sister in the rain. Let her talk about the things you can't explain. To touch is to heal. To hurt is to steal. If you want to kiss the sky, better learn how to kneel. Who is the she in this song? I'm not sure. However, much like the words from the book of Proverbs this morning, the she could possibly be wisdom, the presence of the holy, making its way to us in different ways, causing us to pause and to listen, to reflect and to engage in the Spirit that is moving in ways we never imagined. In Hebrew, the Holy Spirit is feminine, and in Greek, the Holy Spirit is gender neutral. And today we hear these words from the wisdom writings of Proverbs reminding us of how this creation story evolves and moves. The Bible has many creation stories. And much like we engage many hymns and songs with different lyrics and tunes, they connect with us, each in unique ways, allowing us to interact with God in different ways. A key theme of these writings is establishing that God is the creator and sustainer of all things. The method of creation is never the issue, but the acknowledgement of God as creator is paramount. God moves in mysterious ways. She moves in mysterious ways. If this is how God moves through words of wisdom, like in the book of Proverbs, then we can take a moment to reflect upon the ways we have bumped into wisdom, and we did a little bit of that just a moment ago with the kids. Wisdom and I have bumped into each other, and we have certainly done a lot of talking, and have laughed and cried, and have even stood at a gate together dumbfounded by what we are seeing and hearing. Devastation and destruction, injustice and violence, slander, fire, flood, hunger, and death. Oh, wise woman, what do you do with all of this? Oh, wisdom, how do you manage the sunset moments, the Pentecost moments, the moments that produce endurance and character, the moments that bring pain and loss. And do you know what she had the audacity to say? We rejoice in the world and delight in the human race. I'm not quite sure that's what I was expecting her to say. However, that's what it was. I wanted something that would elicit a quick response, but that's not what she offered. She moves in mysterious ways by delighting in the human race before us. So wisdom takes her stand at the very beginning, at the crossroads of life, and cries out to us to live. She was there at the beginning. God created her. When there was no depth, she was brought forth. Before the mountains took shape, she was brought forth. She co-created with God when the heavens were formed and the skies were made and the seas were filled and the even song of the cardinal and the bedtime story of the robin were heard. She was there beside God, delighting in the work that was done and rejoicing in it. Don't let wisdom fool you, though. She's smooth. She's savvy. She doesn't get sucked into some of the things that God gets sucked into. God's name is invoked all over the place by people who have an interesting relationship with God. I have a great relationship with God, according to Donald Trump during the CNN interview. Does God feel the same way? Or what about those who believe they are purer than others and believe that it is God's will to propagate a certain message? Or let's build a wall or start a war because God says so. We can justify our personal narrative as God's biblical narrative, and yet wisdom does not get abused in this way, nor does she lend herself to such abuse. We rarely hear wisdom make me do it. Rather, wisdom is clarity, which produces truthfulness. And truthfulness produces the ability to discern right from wrong, which produces the ability to break down the walls of pious living for personal gain, which produces hope. It is this hope, as Paul writes, that does not put us to shame because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts, our heart that pumps and helps us to breathe in the life in which we are invited to live. Wisdom invites us to dance in the light of God and celebrate God's activity in all that is. When is the last time you've bumped into wisdom? It is hard to know sometimes, isn't it? It's hard to keep up. When all feels lost, when the world is turned upside down, when we feel as though all we do is shout through the gate and never enter, remember that the inner wisdom that God has graced us with is connected to the wisdom that has been here since the beginning, urging us to remember the past, reflect upon the present, and nudging us to move forward into the future, wading into the unknown as we work on finding our true self and to live out our days as a beloved child of God. Words to songs and hymns matter. They help us engage the holy. Towards the end of the song, Mysterious Ways, Bono sings, "One day you'll look back and you'll see where you were held now by this love. While you could stand there, you could move on this moment. Follow this feeling. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right." She moves in mysterious ways. Amen.